Hello, friends that love to stamp. It is Thursday, and so it's a stamp class day. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the Desert Details bundle and an even closer look at the entire Delicate Desert Suite collection. So that's the DSP, the dry brushed specialty metallic paper, the Pale Papaya faux velvet ribbon, and even the gold faceted adhesive backed sequins. It's a long title. So there's lots and lots happening. You can see I'm not at home. I'm actually in San Jose. So we are having stamp class at my mom's house. And hopefully there's a couple of you, I think, coming over later on to do a little porch stamping. So we have somebody on, and once I see at least one person on, let me know who's here. Give me some comments. Hopefully they'll populate sooner than they did last time. But just give a shout out and we'll stamp together. So now that we have one viewer, I can say with officially, good Thursday morning and welcome to today's stamp class. We are going to dive right in with some information, and as always, we'll get to doing lots of stamping projects. We have 3 stamp projects today. They're very, very pretty. They are similar to some that I showed during Studio Ink Spots, but I've made a few slight, you know when you make something and then you make it again and you make it better? So that's what I've done. And then I've also got a slightly different color palette, and we'll talk about some colors that are actually retiring in just a few weeks here. So without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to turn the camera and we will get to having some fun here. Okay, well, there's the ceiling. There we go. Okay, let's see. Coming up in the next few weeks, class-wise, we have Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. This will be on the first Thursday of the month, as always. And this will be Alternative Projects, featuring the 10 Years of Growth Paper Pumpkin Kit. It's going to be really, really pretty. That will be some good times. The alternatives that Stampin' Up! Will show usually are on the last Tuesday of the month, but this month they're changing it to the last Monday. So if that's something that you like to watch, check for that on Monday at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. All right, so that's coming up. Also coming up, Use It Up for April will be a focus on the Eden's Garden bundle, and that will be a lot of fun. Not sure what it's going to be, but I am planning to use up in colors that are retiring. So I mentioned that just a few seconds ago about colors that are retiring. So we don't know all the colors that are going to be retiring, as this year is a color refresh. We'll find that out on the 29th, but we do know at least 5 of them are retiring, and that is the collection from 2021 to 2023. So those are going to retire. So we're going to focus a little bit on those colors. And then my pickup class in April is the Lighting the Way bundle. And I've had some fun with that in the last few days. So that's going to be another good class where we're taking a look at, just a closer look at the bundle itself. And then how does it pair with I'll pair it with like another floral stamp set or something that I think a lot of you might have, maybe the Sentimental Park bundle. We'll see. And then Technique time for April is the Sweet Citrus bundle. And this is going to be another fun sweet and sour class. So I mentioned the other day, think pink lemonade, blueberry lemon coffee cake, lemon meringue pie. That's kind of where we're going to go with that class. It's just going to be kind of fun. Excuse me. Frog in the throat there. Okay, moving right along. It's time to stamp. We're going to stamp. Our first project will be this card here. You may have seen it last night. I put the the pictures up yesterday for you. But this is the one that's similar to one that I made during Studio Ink Spots. However, I did make a couple major changes. It's like, why didn't I use that die for this layer? So we're going to do that. There's a few hidden things that you might not notice. And so I'll point those out when we're putting things together. And then there is some fun little interior stamping as well. So this project, let's see what we're going to do. Grab your packet. Now your kit came in two parts. You had one part was your designer series paper and your smalls bag. Where did my smalls bag? This is part of your small. Where's my smalls bag? I've lost my smalls bag. Oh, that's a bummer. I'll have to find one. It's the little bag with your little pieces. Here it is. I found it. And then you had a packet that had your card bases and things that you're going to need. So let's start with this right here.
I don't have that.
And you're going to need, as you're looking at this stack, we're going to go down to the thick basic white, and we're going to collect everything on top, you know, everything that's on top of it, okay? As usual. We'll set this aside for our next two projects. Ruby's here. She needs to go outside. Ruby, if you don't know, she's one of our dogs that, Livy is the mama of Ruby. So anyhow, so this is our white, thick white, basic card base. Typical size, you guys, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a couple smaller pieces of basic white, and then I have a 1/4 sheet of soft succulent, and another panel of basic white. And this one measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So sorry, kind of a crazy measurement. But I wanted to point out this piece here, soft succulent. This is one of the retiring colors, which is kind of a bummer because I've really grown attached to this color. So soft succulent. If you don't have the ink pad, or you do have the ink pad but you don't have the refill, get it now while you can, you know, or forever hold your peace. And if you want to add another, you know, pack of cardstock, get it now, because when that retiring list comes out on the 29th, I do know that they're going to release that retiring date, release that information, and you know, things are going to start flying off the shelves, okay? A little panic buying. So get it now while you can. Okay, so since we're talking about it, let's start with this piece just to get ourselves going. Let's do a little bit of die cut for a warm-up. How's that? So this is one of the pieces. This is, to me, just such a cool piece from the Desert Details bundle. Let's die cut this on that panel. And if you remember in the taco class, this is a great one for that taco class. It just really can set up a great backdrop for your taco fiesta cards. So just center it on there and cut it out. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna run that through my mom's Stamp and Cut and Boss machine. It's nice that she has everything here too. So I can just bring a few things and be set to go. Okay, so there's that. And I'll set this aside. This is trash. I should have brought myself a little garbage bag or something. So I'm going to punch these little holes out. And I have to show you this. So, Sherry, hello. Here's the ladybug you sent. Look at that. So for those of you who are at Studio Ink Spots, I said, I need a crummer. And they're like, no, they've got desktop vacuums. And so I had never heard of them. And so I was sent one. Okay, so moving right along. Okay, this piece here is going to layer, and then this is going to layer on top. But we have another layer inside. And so the next layer, if you grab your specialty papers, we're looking for this one right here. Okay, so this one right here, we are going to trim this down, and then we're going to be doing some die cutting out of the center of it and setting those die cuts aside. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but this layer in here is going to measure 3.5 by 4 3/4. Okay, so 3.5 by 4 3/4. So that's going to be our cut on this. And so once we have this, we have a few other die cuts to do and we'll be set for this card. There's some little hidden layers in here that I think are really pretty. So 3.5, cut your narrow measurement first by 4 3/4. Not always do I cut the narrowest measurement first, but for the most part, that's the best way to go, okay? So keep this handy and keep this handy. We'll be using those because this stuff is super pretty. Super, super pretty. I love this stuff. Okay, so this layer, so our layering is going to go the white, the dry brushed Bermuda Bay, soft seafoam, granny, whatever this color combo is. It's going to go something like that. But I think that it's a waste to have all this pretty paper hidden behind the layers. So what I want you to do is take, this kind of looks like agave to me, but you're going to take this and we're going to cut 2. You can see how much you need to kind of, you know, stay away from the edges, but go ahead and cut 2 of these out of this. So I'll do 1 here and 1 right here, okay? So I'm headed to the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. And these are not going to be for this project. They're going to be for our last card. But we need to retrieve them now before we sandwich the that in there and can't have access to it. Okay, so there's my first one. So now I'm actually even going to kind of turn this to nuzzle that in there. Okay, now I know I have plenty of border showing. So I'll be covering that up, those holes. Okay. Here we are. So there's that. So like I say, set these aside for card number 3. Just know where they are. I'll probably lose them between now and then. But now we have this and we can layer this like so. And I just think that, and I know we do this, but sometimes we forget. I don't sometimes matter with, you know, mind with cardstock, but when we have such a limited amount of this beautiful paper, then I like to kind of make the best use of it. Okay, a little bit of glue. We can add these 2 together now. Let's see if this glue is going to come out. And let's glue the correct side here. Oh, look at that. San Jose, I don't have to unplug the glue. Nice. The small things in life. Okay, just center that. Now, before we layer this onto the white panel that we have here, just kind of skating that around in place. That's why we like that liquid glue, right? So I don't know if you can see it. Tell me if you can. But there is a little bit of a ripple through here, kind of adding to a little bit of that, that desert quality. I was trying to create, while I was working with these, I was thinking dust and, really hard, dry, packed clay sorts of things. And so I was trying to kind of replicate that through card making. So I'm going to use a bone folder just to simply add a little bit of distressing. Maybe not on, okay, hello, hold on, I have glue. What else is new? How did I get glue there? I did. I manage every time. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are making any comments. I'm not seeing them again, so hopefully they'll start to show up. But you can see as I'm kind of doing this, got a little bit of glue there, we'll rub that off. Can you see that little ripple effect? So just by kind of going back and forth, who needs an embossing folder? We have a bone folder, right? Okay, so just add that little bit of ripple into your cardstock here. Maybe I'm gonna turn the other end here. There we go, that's better. So a couple nights ago, I did a live for another group of stampers, and my comments were coming right up. So I don't know what it is. Now, so I have ripples on all sides, and I'm just going to quickly do the other side and just kind of give it a little bit more. More texture is always fun. Hello, Michelle. Okay, so Michelle, did you notice I dropped something off on your porch last night? Hopefully you saw that on your front porch. But I'm just distressing my white here. I'm not worried so much about this layer right here. And I know it looks a little goofy, but see this? Where we're getting some of that cracking? That's exactly what I'm going for. I like that. I just think it's kind of cool. Okay, just kind of reverse in a few directions. Okay, fun. Who would have thought, you know, a no-cost decorative technique. So there you can see, for those who just popped on, I think Michelle and Lynn, before I glued this layer to my dry brushed, I die cut a few of those agave plant flower type thingies. All right, so now we have all this character in our white. Just kind of adding, like I say, another little notch of decor. So it took a few seconds longer. You don't have to do it, but I sure think it adds a little bit of, you know, of a unique quality. And look at that, glue everywhere. Now we can add this to this layer. Easy, easy. And where I've got that curling, I'm just gonna, we'll fix that, kind of iron it out while we add it to this layer here. Okay, and just like that. Okay, let me center it a little better than what I just did. Okay, so our card front is set and ready to go. I'm going to get rid of this glue right here before it becomes part of another card. A little tidy up there. And I've got it in a few other places. Do you guys do the same thing? It drives me crazy sometimes. But I'm so grateful for an adhesive remover. And hers is like normal. Mine has big old dog bite out of it. Oh, the fun, the thrills of having dogs, right? Okay, so there are my layers. Hopefully, if you're working yours, you can kind of see that come to life and be kind of cool and fun. Okay, so we have this little piece here. And what I want you to do with this little piece is this is that cool, it's kind of like, I'm almost saying it's a paper ribbon in a way. So we'll do this and just put this down to one edge and give yourself a nice little die cut of that. Because we're going to add a little bit of that. There's just some added little touches here and there that you might not notice unless you take a really close look at the pictures. I'm just cleaning off all my little crumbs from the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine here. Can't have crumbs. Oh, Jiminy. See if I can get this on straight. I'm having issues. I need a Post-it note. All right, so running this one through. So I have a little scrap of that. Well, and so this is the negative of the cutting it out, and here's the actual piece. But this is kind of a cool little texture too that you could easily add to something. So keep that. You never know when we might use it. But there's our ribbon. And so this little piece is tucked right inside there. It's right under there. So we have that one. Then we have another one of those paper ribbons. So let's find our paper that we need here. Let's see. Here it is right here. This is the piece. Okay. So this piece here, we're just going to run that same die right across, you know, either the top or the bottom. Okay. Doesn't matter, either side, whichever you like. I should say either edge of the paper. So the back side of it is this petal pink, well, it's not petal pink, it's Calypso and Pale Papaya. So Pale Papaya, folks, you know, it has just about, what, 5-6 weeks left. And then, you know, goodbye, Pale Papaya. Another great color. I like it because it's not, you know, it's a little bit more, you know, for a yellow, it's softer, it's richer for me, my taste. So I have enjoyed Pale Papaya a lot. In fact, I would say of all the in color batches, this batch has been my most used, most favorite of all. Okay, I'm set that back in your stack of DSP. Here's my die. So we have that layer in here. Now we have a couple more dies in here that you might not notice. So this little Aztec little decorative piece here, we're going to cut a couple of these, and we're going to cut them from this paper here, okay? But we want to be sure that we're going to do it just from one edge. Don't do it up and down like this. You need to do it lengthwise. In fact, why don't we do something first so that we have this just right? We're going to make a cut here because we are going to use this paper for this first project and for our third. So you can see we have a layer in here. And this layer, I believe, is, what is it? It's 5 by 1 3/4. So let's cut 1 3/4 off first. Okay, so there's 1 3/4 by 5. Okay, so this piece here we're going to use for card number 3. So set that aside for card number 3. Now we have all of this that we can work with and not worry that we've not cut it right and then we don't have it for the last project. So that piece there, we're going to cut 2 of these from this piece, okay? So cut 2. And you know what? You could even chop this in half, like so, and layer them and do a twofer. You'll be able to get them out. I can do, most dies, I can do 2 layers of cardstock and definitely 2 layers of DSP. If it's a more detailed image, you can't do 2, but this one will be just fine. And I will say the pressure on my mom's cut and boss machine is better than mine. My mom just goes, It could be that I really use mine to death. So there are these 2 pieces. And so now it's all about the stamping, the fun part of this. So we've got all of our pieces and elements that we need. Now it's time to stamp and make some beautiful stuff. Stamp some beautiful stuff. Okay, so let me just set this aside for now. You have 2 pieces of white, and they're very similar in size. And it doesn't really matter which one you use. The smaller one was intended for the layer on this card. And then I'm like, well, why am I not using this die? So that's the major change from the original to this one. Is it's like, hello, this is so perfectly sized to fit in there. So that's why this one's a little bit smaller. It doesn't really matter though. One is for stamping and one is for stamping and die cutting. So let's stamp this one first, because this is the one that's going to be, to me, is fun. And I'm just going to slip a piece of scratch paper under here. And I'm pulling out gray granite. Okay, so I've got gray granite here. And the large desert rose image. And I'm inking up in gray granite. And we're just going to do a little bit of, I'm going to stamp once, twice. That's it for that. And then we'll bring the smaller desert rose image in. And we'll give this one a stamp here. Maybe another one right there. And here. Maybe a little bit like that. So we're just kind of making a real fast little background. Now, added to that, I want to take a blending brush and just load it up with a little bit of gray granite. Knock off that first little, you know, heavier load, and just come in here and gently blend. I'm not adding too much pressure. I'm just adding a nice hazy layer of color. Telephone. They still have a landline. Same phone number that I grew up with as a kid. Oh, Sun Microsystems. Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Okay. So have you ever seen those memes where they say, do you remember your childhood phone number? I'm like, yes, of course, we still have it.
It's a good number.
Yeah, it's a good number. Okay, so there we have this. And it's just pretty. It almost has a toile look to it. So, but I love it. It's going to be a nice little punch of design, color, you know, a little bit of everything. And color, even though it's a very neutral color, you know. Okay, so there's that. Now, with my soft, succulent Stamp and Blend, I'm just going to do a little bit of flick, not much. And I'm just going to kind of aim for the top and bottom because that's really all that's going to show. So just a little texture or a lot. Okay, now this piece is ready to be die cut. And this is what, you know, this is such a cool, this label layer on top of this one is such a beautiful mix. So it's like, thank you, Stampin' Up, for making cool stuff. Okay, just rolling this one through the machine. Okay, there it is. There it is, there it is. And this layer, so far we have glued, and we're gonna glue again. We'll get to some dimensional work. I'm sure you guys are commenting. I'm sorry I'm not commenting back. They are just not showing up. Really bums me out. Maybe it's because I never buy their ad stuff and their boost and all that. Okay, there you have it. It's looking pretty. Pretty. I just, you know, when I made this card originally, it was, you know, slightly a little bit different. I sure really love the way it turned out. And with these few added changes, I love it even better. I don't know if you guys have ever done that where you, you know, you make something, you make it again, and you add some changes to it. Okay, now we are moving into dimensional territory here. I'm just going to chop a couple of these in half because I don't notice any minis laying around here. But I just kind of want a mini dimensional. And so these are these little kind of, you know, rectangle-y, not rectangles. Well, they are this way. They're kind of, what are they when they're trapezoid? No, I don't remember my shapes. But just put it on one side. Because we're going to do that, you know, a lot of times when I'll do a leaf, I'll do the leaf one end up and one end down. That's what we're doing here. That way you won't have a ton of added bulk in the center of things. The middle will kind of thin out just a little bit. So we have these, and they're going to lay in here. But first we need this one here. So this one here, we need to trim it down. Let's trim it down to about, just about 3 3 7/8. Just get in there. Should be good. It's a little long. I'm going to go just a little bit shorter. So what was that? Was 3 7. Let's go 3 3/4. Oh, wrong way. Okay, hold on. Sometimes, you know, it just doesn't quite want to go through the cutter. Okay, so there's my piece. Here's my trash. Make a pile. So this is a detail that you might not notice, but I certainly think it's kind of fun and cool. I'm going to lift up, let me use the other end here.
If you want to go.
Just got a little glue on this tip. I'm going to lift this up right in here, okay, because I didn't glue it down. But lift that up, okay? So I'm lifting right in there. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to slip this end in through. It's just a little thing, you know. You don't have to do it. You can just glue it on. And then I've lifted this side up as well. And so this is inside there. So that's where that one's going to go. And, you know, center it. Let me take this piece out of the way. You don't need to see all that mess. So this, just slide it over so that it's centered. And move it up a little bit. And I'm going to add just a little bit of glue in there. Just going to kind of hold it down. Just like that. It's not totally necessary. And now we're going to do one. So my dimensional is here. So my dimensional is where it's on this edge. Okay. And it's going to set right about here. And I'll pick this up so you have a closer view of that. See where that is? So now in here where we're going to put the rose and the greeting, this is kind of thinned out a little bit. But I still have a little dimension on this end. And that's a trick I do all the time. So there's that other one, and we'll do the complete opposite on this side. So this is the dimensional side, is going to be closest to the top. And it's going to kind of just counterbalance and be in the same spot, but on the other side of the card. So there are those two pieces. And next, this is going to come into play here. But with this piece here, we're going to do some stamping. And our stamping, we're going to do the same technique on all of our flowers today. And that is we're going to stamp them, and then we're going to add a second color. So I'm going to start with gray granite for this one. And I'm also going to bring out Bermuda Bay. So gray granite and Bermuda Bay. Let me set these aside just a little bit. And you need a blending brush for Bermuda Bay. So I'll set that right there. Okay, let's see. My stamp itself. So it was gray granite, so I don't need to clean it. So we'll just ink it up in gray granite. Set your ink on its back. Grab your blending brush and Bermuda Bay. And I'm just going to tap inside here. Finally, the comments are populating. That or you're just finally now talking. So I'm just kind of dabbing here and there. Dab, dab, dab. Little huff. Stamp that. And there you have it. So it's the simplest inking technique that I think we have. Direct to rubber, you know. You could use a Stamparatus, but you see you don't need it. You can get it done. But look at that, how you have some of that color in and out, and it's just interesting. You just need to pick colors that work well together. And start with your lightest color, move to your darker color. So this stamp set, it is, there is some distinctive, you know, detail in this. So you really want to play that up. And we've learned that the blending brush definitely helps that, and then it, you know, really kind of brings it to life. So there's that image. Let's do the same thing with the smaller rose. So Jen says, when the new catalog launches, I'll be waiting for Liz's choices before I order anything. I have no idea. I haven't seen a thing. I wish I had. So we'll have to see what's coming out. Yeah, I'm ready for to see what the future holds for stamp classes. So I've tapped that ink, a little bit of a huff. And there you have it. Now, you're going to use your dies, run these through. These are so easy to align, you guys. You know, sometimes it's like we spin and spin and spin, but because these are so asymmetrically designed, they're really easy to line up on your, you know, to run it through your Big Shot. So you're going to cut those out. I've already cut some out, so we don't have to sit there and watch me do that over and over. So I have mine done here. Okay, let me set these out of the way before I put my card in an ink pad. We know how that goes. So let's bring this in. And so these are going to go on with dimensionals. Definitely dimensionals. We have to, right? And I'm just putting a couple on that. And then this one will add a dimensional and a half because I have it. I've already got ink on my fingers. So we'll see that new catalog on the 29th. Those of us that are demonstrators, it will be on the website. And you know what? I forgot to give my flower. I'm going to give it just a little bit of character. So where did I put my bone folder? You think I would put it in the cup straight ahead, but nope. So I'm just going to do just a little bit, just a little gentle curl here and there. We'll definitely do more of that on the next one. But so this one is going to set right in here. This one. Maybe just a little bit of a bend. Give it a little life. This one is going to, I'm going to tuck it underneath and down in here like that. Let me bring that up closer. See where those are? So just to review, everything has been glued so far except for the 2 die cuts and the 2 flowers. Okay? And I kind of got things crooked. Okay. Just doing a little rearranging. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. One last thing to stamp. In your smalls bag, and I found my smalls bag and now I've lost it again. You guys, am I the only one that just kind of constantly looking for things? Da, 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 da. Hello, it's not that small. Okay, well, you know what? Don't know where my smalls bag is, which is a bummer because I need the, oh, here it is. Oh my goodness, it's right in front of my nose. In your smalls bag. So sorry. That's just how we roll, right? You have a white banner in there, a smaller white piece. That will be for a greeting on this card. Also in your smalls bag, you have some linen thread. So grab that linen thread. The gold will be for later. And you have some of the gold faceted gems. And I kind of had to cut them funny because of the way they packed them. But these are really pretty, you guys. At first I was like, man, that is so huge. What are you going to do with it? Well, I'll show you what we're going to do with it. But these are fun. So you have a bunch of these in your bag there. So let's just kind of get this stuff ready since it's in my hands. So take your linen thread and we're just going to tie it in a bow. Nothing new here, right? Just a regular old bow. Give it a hunker down. There it is. Beautiful. And I'm going to grab my ends and even them up because it might be hard to do that once it's inside and under the layers. There's that. Add that to my pile of trash. Okay. So now this layer is going to set, whoops, mine has fallen. I haven't secured mine in this card. And it's stuck. But it's in the middle here. I'm going to have to rearrange that one. So this one, what we're going to do is it's going to kind of sit right there. We'll stamp our greeting and smash it in there to hold it in place. So speaking of greeting, let's see here. Let's get this stamped. And this, you could do any of the greetings. I'm going to do your smile is pure magic because that works for just about anything. And this is going to be inked up in Bermuda Bay. Hey, Tandra. Anybody else that's watching? Hello. I haven't said hellos because I haven't seen comments. Finally, one popped up. But I've given you extra so you can trim and make it just the right size you want. But I have tried to mount my image square on my block, so that's looking good. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of trim that up a little bit. I give a larger amount for my greetings when they are cling mount and you can't see through. When it's photopolymer, it's really easy to line up, right? It's a little bit different when it's that cling mount. So that's why your pieces are a little bit bigger. Is just in case you get a little wild when you're stamping and it might be crooked, so you have to kind of even it out. So I'm going to thin this up just a little bit. Make it more like a 1/2 inch wide. Oops, it's a little high, but you get the idea. And we'll, oh, that's really wackadoo. Okay, well, I'm going to put it on and fix it later. It's the story of my life, right? Okay, just trimming the ends. Ta-da! Okay, just like that. Keep your trimmer handy or a pair of scissors. Whoops. Dropping stamps. And we're going to take a piece of this and just add that nice little detail right in there. So Tandra says she's getting ready to leave work. Yeah, boo, bummer. But I saw that you had a lot of rain and couldn't drive the other day. So now you're driving today. Okay, so I'm going to trim this up so that it fits my banner here. Just taking a little bit of that off. Yeah, the colors on this card are really pretty, Kathleen. And I think it's the, you know, it's this beautiful paper right in here, this brushed metallic. And if you like this paper, Stampin' Up! Says they have quite a bit of it, so you don't have to worry that they're not going to have it. I mean, it will probably discontinue once the January-April catalog finishes up, the end of April there. But it is really pretty. Both versions, the Calypso and the soft succulent and Bermuda Bay version. Yeah, super pretty. So there's your greeting. Again, mine's a little high, but you know, I'll probably do another one off camera here, just so that I'm, you know, not too wild and crazy. And we'll add our dimensionals here. And I'm going to do just a tiny bit of glue, like right about here, where I know I'm going to put the knot of my ribbon here, my linen thread. So Jolinda says, so much in low stock. Yep, that's because people are buying lots, which is a good thing. But I do know they have a lot of this fun paper. They've given us a notice on that. They also have a lot in stock of the small blending brushes. And you know what, you guys? I think I like the small blending brushes better than the big ones. The big ones are good if you're doing a whole huge background, but if you're just doing small things, boy, I pull out the smalls way more than I do the larges. Okay, so this goes on just like so. Just kind of line that up. Let me wiggle this over just a little bit before those dimensionals really set up, if you know what I mean. And we will add our not our dimensionals, but our gold faceted sequins, these big giant guys. I love these. So what I did is I took these and, whoops, get back here, pick that up. These are big enough that you almost don't even need a scissor or a blade or anything, but I'm going to tuck these. I mean, to me, these aren't sequins. These are paillette. They're so big, which is the difference, by the way. So there's one, and I'm just tucking these right underneath, and I'm going to do 3 on the bottom here. Let me bring this out just a little bit, or I'll tuck this one in just, oh, hello. Don't know my own strength. We'll roll this one in. These kind of look like guitar picks, too. Okay, so set that one right in there. That looks good. And we'll do one more. So I'm going to do 3 down below, and I'll do 1 up above. You could do 2 and 2, but not me. I'm going to do 3 and 1. So there's 3 peeking out there. And then we'll do one more. We'll just flip this around and it's going to peek out right about there. Okay, so last thing to do here is to get your wink. Get your wink out. Wink of Stella. Give it a shake. Push on the 2 little sides that say push. And you're waiting. See, I can see that fluid is coming. Whoops, there it is. Coming down into the barrel. And I'll use this. Hello. She's got a good wink of Stella here. And let's just give it a good flick. So you've already got a lot going on, but this just really makes this good and sparkly pretty. And you know what? We were supposed to have stamped the inside before we put all this on. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing the inside first. Well, now we know why we do the inside first sometimes. Because we do have some stamping going on the inside. I mean, we have the stamps, we have the paper, why not use it up, right? So we need, there's a certain piece of paper that we need. Let's see, I think it's this one right here. So we need this. And what we're gonna do is trim this piece. We're going to trim it to be 4 inches wide. Okay, we're going to use this for another card, but this piece here is 4 inches wide. And then we will take our little 1-inch circle punch, okay, and we'll make it a pocket. So just eyeball center, or you can do the, finding the center on the paper and giving yourself a little notch. I do that sometimes. Or a little, a little cut line, and then I know right where center is, and I can add that punch. But, got to have a pocket, because it's what we do. But before we glue the pocket on, we're going to stamp our 2 images here. And so, here's what we're going to do. Where's that here? I'm just going to huff on this, because there's ink on here. Just give a good huff on it. And this will be our first rose. And hopefully it stamps with all that stuff on the front. There's that. Whoops, caught a corner. Good thing we're putting a pocket on there. And now we don't have enough ink. It's just not going to be enough. So now we'll do it again one more time. We'll ink up in the gray granite. We'll tap it a little bit with the Bermuda Bay. Whoops. Dropsies. Just tap that here and there. This is what makes it great, you guys. You got to add that second color. Get your ink pads out of the way. And then this one will move down just a little bit. And it's going to be funky, but hopefully you can get it on there. Nice. Don't worry about that. It's going to cover a little bit with the pocket. And so there you have it. See, we cleaned that all up just like that. Cool. And hold on. Wait, there's more. Always, right? This is my soft succulent blend again. We'll just carry that detail from the front into the inside layer here. So now add your pocket. So sides and the bottom. Or I should say side, bottom, side. And now you have a spot to add your gift card, a note, a coupon, or a stick of gum. That would be fun. Okay, so there you have it. Your smile is pure magic. There's our original, and so pretty. So pretty, you guys. I love it. Gorgeous. Hopefully you've got yours on the way, or you're going to do it a little later on. It's all good. I'm just looking for a place to set this. Okay, moving right along, I am going to close my 2 ink pads here. We'll come back to the gray granite a little later, but for now, we're going to switch color palettes, and we're going to move to Petal Pink and Flirty Flamingo. Thanks, Kathleen. I appreciate that. She says, so cute, so cool. Kathy says, beautiful. You know what, you guys, I saw Kathy last night. So nice to see somebody face to face that I haven't seen in a long time. I just, popped by her house, dropped off a kit. You know, I haven't done deliveries in so long. It's kind of fun to do them again. Okay, moving right along. Our second card, you guys, so this is a version, but there are quite a few changes in this one. This is a version of one that I did do during Studio Ink Spots. Completely different color palette and a few other changes here and there. So let's work this one. It's gorgeous. The inside has been stamped as well. So let's go back to your kits. Okay, so your card packet that has all of your pieces there. And you are going to pick everything up. So from Petal Pink card base, that's your biggest. I'm going to always put the biggest one in the back. So pick everything from that layer up will be on this card. Okay. This card base here is just like the first one. It's a standard 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4. Easy peasy, right? Other pieces that I have here, I have a 1/4 sheet of basic white. This is going to be for stamping. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4. So the smaller one, you guys, okay, just kind of look in to see where that smaller one. The smaller one is for the inside of your card. So just set it there now and get it out of the way so that you don't accidentally use it. This one will be for stamping roses, desert roses. We're going to do some die cutting and splattering on this piece. And then this is the faux velvet ribbon, and it's in pale papaya. This stuff is really pretty. Really, really pretty. It's a little big, so I'm not going to make a big old bow on it for a card. I have made a nice big loopy bow on a package that's really fun. You'll see that later on. Not later on today, but later on in the month of April when I can show it. But anyhow, it's pretty stuff. So let's kind of reverse things up and let's start with stamping this time. How about we do that? We'll start with some stamping. So grab your cleanup pad, your chamois, and let's give our two main images here a little bit of a bath. Okay, so the cleaning images, so the red rubber here, really needs the old the pad that has all the little bristles in it, the little soft bristles, to get inside all these nooks and crannies. And I'm getting them out because I'm going from Bermuda Bay to Petal Pink. So I really want to not contaminate my pad too much. Okay, so there's that one. Let's get this one. Give this one a bath. You headed to the airport?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. My brother comes in from Texas, so they're going to go grab him at the airport. Okay, Petal Pink. That's going to be our first color. It's the lighter of the two colors. Thanks, Kathy. Okay, so ink that up nice and juicy with Petal Pink. Again, we're going to plop it on its back. And this time we're going to add the second color, which will be Flirty Flamingo. So I have my Flirty Flamingo brush here. It's not just Flirty Flamingo. It's like for Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, Polished Pink, all those colors in that tone. But I'm just going to kind of pounce that color on just like we've been doing, kind of here and there, but not everywhere. Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate it. Okay, you know what I really loved, you guys? And any of you can do it. Feel free. Is Jen Mallett made some really cool Taco Fiesta cards. So she posted them on my site, and I'm sure you've seen them because some of you have commented. But I'm like, yeah, I want to see what you guys are making too. Okay, we're going to stamp this 3 times. So Petal Pink, and then Flirty Flamingo. Okay. I suppose with this color palette, since this is really the spin-off, this brushed piece here, that's actually Calypso Coral and not Flirty Flamingo, but I was in the mood for Flirty Flamingo. So, and change it up where you're pouncing the color. Maybe one of these you add more color and one you don't add as much. It's up to you. But we're just going to fill this page. We need 3 of the large. Ooh, I really like this one. This one's nice and intense and pretty. Okay, I'm just giving it a real quick rub on my chamois because I don't want Flirty Flamingo in my Petal Pink. I hear some of you don't like Petal Pink. I love petal pink. It is, you know, it's a shell pink, a shrimp pink. And I think it has great character. Okay, there's that. And we'll drop this right here in this corner. There you have it. Lovely. And let's do a couple of the smalls. So here's petal pink. And we'll pounce it with a little bit of Flirty. There's that one. And a real quick swipe on the chamois. And back to petal. And right about there. Okay, that is the stamping we're going to do. So these are going to go on the inside, and then these three are for the front of the card. And I'm going to close up my pads. I don't need these two colors anymore for this card. You're going to die cut these with your dies. I showed these earlier. I've done mine ahead of time, just for time's sake. But I mentioned earlier, because these are asymmetrical, they're so easy to align. So I just kind of a nice bonus feature for us, right? So here are my flowers, my fleurs, as my mom would say. So those are for the front. These are for the inside. Let me bring my scratch paper in here for right now. And I'm going to kind of layer these on my scratch paper before I add them to the card. I am going to take, I have a couple other blends here with me. I have Flirty Flamingo and I have Cajun Craze. Both of these are the lights because that's just what I grabbed. Either one would work. So I'm just going to kind of group these together just a little bit. Okay. Ruby's so funny. She's making little noises here and she sounds just, I thought it was Livy. And I'm like, well, Livy's not here. She's at home. Okay, so I'm just adding some splatters to my flowers, and I can even add another little extra little bit. This might not show as much on camera, but it does in real life. There we have it. Ta-da! So there's that. And for the inside of the card, remember I put this one, I slipped this inside. This is the smaller of those. Let's add a little bit of, I'm not going to add the Cajun to this because this is the panel where you're, you know, signing and greeting and whatnot. So I'm just adding a few little light pink splatters there. Okay, so that's ready. But since we have this here, remember I said we didn't need the pads anymore? I lied. I'm so rotten. Okay. Oh, why did we disconnect there for a second? Whew. Okay, so I have full strength and a little second generation. Okay, so glad I took a look. Where does my brother fly in from? He is flying in from the Austin airport, Austin, Texas. He lives in a town called Pflugerville. Funny little name, or long name rather. Okay, so here's my dabbing like we've been doing, and I'm going to add one into the corner here. That's full strength. Now, I want to be sure, so there is a line there and a line there from where we stamped off the edge. I'm going to move my image down far enough that I'm not catching those lines, okay? So just kind of be aware of that. Now let's do the exact same thing in this corner. So we'll ink it up. Let me just kind of wipe off. Same drill. Pflugerville, if you don't know where it is, it's by Round Rock. More people know where Round Rock is. Okay, here's this one. And same drill, I'm going to move this down just like that. So now the inside is just about ready to go. I'm going to add the 2 small roses. So I just really kept this pretty symmetrical. I don't normally do that, but I did. You could do that. You could also even do, maybe I'll do this. That's pretty too, something like that. Maybe I'll have these just kind of cascading. Ooh, I'm going to do that. I love changing it up. That's what's fun about making a second one, right? Cajun Craze. Cajun Craze to me is a, Calypso coral just gotten a lot darker, right? So it's a great, step from, again, this piece here is the inspiration for my color palette. So I'm just going to kind of move it in that direction. Stamp wise, let's see what we're going to use. So the front is going to say, your smile is pure magic. The inside, we will say, you are what sunshine feels like. Isn't that kind of a fun little saying? And I'm just going to pull this off the block here. Set that aside for a second because we're definitely going back to it. Okay, so I'm mounting my stamp. Now I'm not just going to stamp my greeting here because I want to see how this is stamping. It's like, is it stamping straight? It's ever so slightly high on the left side. So I'm just going to straighten it and drop it just a skosh. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. There's that. Now we can take this and this we can glue. Whoops, that's not it. We'll glue this to the inside of our card. Now, you know what? I really can close these. I'm not going to go back to Petal Pink or Flirty Flamingo. I will be using Cajun Craze in just a second here. So, but let's just get this out of the way. Let's put it in since we're working from the inside out. So we're not having to stamp over layers, right? Okay. Set this in here. How did I ding my corner? And then I actually did add these with dimensionals, but you could do them with dimensionals or with glue. I think I'll do this one with glue because it's closer to the, since I'm changing it up a little bit, it's closer to the score line. So we'll pop this one right there. Yes, I'm going off the edge intentionally. I like breaking that fourth wall, so to say. And we'll put this one on. All right. There. Okay. Pretty. So the inside is just as pretty. Jacqueline says just popping in for a bit. Let's see, I missed some of it. Thursdays have been busy for you. That's a good thing though. She'll be watching the replay. Awesome. Good. Because they're beautiful cards and you'll want to make them for sure. Okay, so now moving on to our front. So the front of our card has some really pretty touches. So, and they are. I keep pulling this piece out. Now, interesting, this is the upper corner. So, this is a 6x6. That this pattern is, some of you, and I think most of you have you might have a little bit more of the Calypso on yours than this one. But this is super pretty. I'm going to kind of work this section right here. And we're going to cut a layer. You can see we have a layer in there. And I believe this layer is, it's not your typical. It's a little bit different. So our layer is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So 3 3/4 by 5. So let's just trim that up. And if you want, you can, you can't cut out from the center here. And I'll show you why in just a second here. So 3 3/4 by 5. So if you remember on the first one, we took a chunk out of the center here, and said, why are we wasting all of that? Well, we can't do that this time because if you look at the original here, this layer here, we're going to be die cutting some detail in here so that we can have this gold peeking through. And that's what makes this really pretty, you guys, is to have that poking through. So do not cut anything out of the center of this. Save these. We're going to die cut another piece of paper ribbon here in just a second. But this layer here is going to glue onto our card front. So glue this to your card front. The next layer going on that we're going to die cut the little details into, that will go on with dimensionals. But center this. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Just center that right there. Give it a good rub. Now, this piece here, we're going to, this is such a cool detail, but I'm going to do one here. Okay, so kind of in the upper left corner, and then I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees and do another one just below it. So let me do those. You can't do two at a time like we did on the others. You have to do it, you know, just one at a time. So let me do one and I'll show you, and then I'll reposition it and show you where the second one's going to go. And it really doesn't matter. I think you do just kind of want to have them to the left side of your cardstock because we're going to cover the right with a whole bunch of roses, all those 3 big roses. Now I'm also eyeballing this, and I'm trying to make it the die parallel with the edge of my paper. Of course, I say that, and then the whole thing moved. I really need some Post-it notes. Okay. She's almost there. Just on the, oh, it just keeps moving. Okay, you guys, there's a Post-it note just a few feet away from me. Hold on. I lied again. I can't believe there's usually Post-it notes in this drawer. Alas, there's no Post-it notes in the drawer. I'll just have to struggle. But I'm trying to keep it, you know, parallel, like I was saying. But when I put the plate on, it wiggles it. Okay, that's going to be close enough. Okay, let me bring this into view. So see, it wiggled a little bit. Oh, well. So there's my first one. Do your mom and dad have oranges at their house? My dad just bought a big, huge, what is it, a 10 pound bag? So here was my first one, and it went in this way, right? Now I'm going to rotate it. Or did I already rotate it? Okay, I'm just going to rotate it. And I think it's actually symmetrical, but anyhow, I am going to do it anyway. But I'm going to do the second one right about here. Again, because our roses are going to cover this side. That's Ruby. She's super ferocious. I think she sees somebody out front. Okay, there's my second one. And these just kind of fall right out of place. Now, it does scar just a little bit. Sometimes you can turn it over and you're not going to see it as much, but then your design is kind of, you know, rotated and you have to think about it. Another thing you can do is run this through your Big Shot a couple more times to press those little scars out. So we'll just get those little extra pieces of glue off. I don't know what she's barking at, but before we actually add this to our card, I did give it a little bit of splatter. And this is the light Flirty Flamingo. And I'm concentrating on this left side because this one's going to get covered for the most part. Not all of it. Okay, so that's ready. She's still barking. I don't know what she's mad at. Okay, this is going to go on with dimensionals, folks. So, just kind of add them here and there, where you can, right? To keep things fairly level. We'll add one there, and there, and I'll do one more there just for for fun. Okay, so this is going to add to our layer here. Now, let me point out, I used the liquid glue, and you can see it's coming through. We're covering it so it doesn't matter. So can you guys, yep, there's a good view of that liquid glue line. Okay, you can kind of see that's coming around. If you're going to do this and have a lot of it show, I would recommend, you know, snail, seal, tape runner, okay? And that will take that away for you entirely. Okay, we'll put this guy on. And this is going to center. Hey, let go. Kind of got away from me. But look how pretty that paper is peeking through. Super gorgeous. Now we will add our flowers. But before we add our flowers, we're definitely going to curl these more than we did the first one. So just give them a good, I mean, we're going to run the bone folder in both directions to distress the paper, to distress the look of the flower, and just kind of be in keeping with our trying to create that desert feel. Okay, so there it is. I've got it curled, and it kind of curls in a little up, a little down. And just do that to all three of them. Give them some character. You could totally pass this step if you wanted to simplify the card. You could bypass this. You could also just ink up in one color. So you could do like one of them in Petal Pink, one of them in Flirty Flamingo, and then one of them back to Petal Pink, or vice versa. Or throw a little, Cajun Craze in there. You don't have to put the layer, this detail in. But why not if you have the die? But I'm just trying to think, okay, how could you do this card instead of in an Artfully Avid style? How could you do it in a casual crafting style? How could you stamp it in a simple stamping style? So if I were doing it in like a beginner, maybe it would just be absolutely no die cuts, and we would just stamp the roses down the right side of the paper, which would be really pretty, and then add a greeting. But we are doing Artfully Avid cards today, so there you have it. Okay, so they each have a little character. We'll add dimensionals to the back of them, so we'll just do it all at one time. Flip all three over, and I'm going to add 2 to each so that they don't teeter-totter. That, flip over. That, and I'm going to pull the backs off of all of them at the same time. Kind of, okay, a little faster that way. Okay, so I'm just starting with the top one. Let me bring my original into view here. Let me get my scratch paper out of here. Clean up the house a little bit, so to say. My first one is going to kind of tip a little bit this way, and I am going over the edge intentionally. And then I have another one, and this one's going to face kind of the opposite direction. I'm tilting it that direction. And then this last one will go this way. Pretty. I mean, just that right there is super, super pretty. Our next layer is going to be that faux velvet ribbon. And I'm going to give this an angle chop. And I'm going to give this side an angle chop as well. Just try and eyeball your angles so they're about the same. Okay. And now, a little different here. I'm going to add just a light touch of glue. Just super light, you guys. And I'm adding a light touch of glue to one side. I could use tear and tape, but I don't have any. I ran out. Light touch of glue there, and then I'm going to put dimensionals on this side. And you're going, dimensionals? Really? On ribbon? Yep, I am. Because it's got to level out with this, because there's a dimensional here and it's going to stretch across. So that's why I'm going to add just a couple dimensionals in there. Not a ton, you guys, just a little bit. And we're just going to run these right like so. Just like that. So even though it's fabric, but sometimes when we have a paper that's going onto something with a dimensional, we need to level it out so that it's not cockeyed, cattywampus, lopsided. Okay, so you might find another way to put it on, but this is how I handled this situation. And I have my angle going the other direction, but that's okay. So I actually am putting this underneath, and I'm about, 2/3 of the way down. And we'll just kind of tackle that in there. And believe it or not, this ribbon is see-through. But not to worry, because we have layers going on top of it, so it'll be just fine. Speaking of layers going on top of it, let's bring in our ribbon die. I like to call this the ribbon die. And let's cut a piece of this. And I'm kind of trying to catch this right there. So I'm going to go right there. And we'll just cut that and bring it back. And this will layer under our greeting, just like we did on that first card. Okay. There you have it. Ta-da! So, speaking of greeting, in your smalls bag, you have a couple pieces of Flirty Flamingo in there. And I gave you a couple just in case you didn't quite get it right, because these, I didn't leave them bigger. They're kind of cut to size. But hopefully we can get this done. I used the same greeting. Your smile is pure magic, but it has Bermuda Bay on it, so we don't want that. So we gotta have to fix that. So get rid of that. Okay. And we're gonna stamp our greeting like we did the inside with Cajun Craze. And I think, you know what? This is really a pretty color combination to put kind of a lesser used color like Cajun Craze on top of Flirty Flamingo with this paper. Ooh, I think it's just a really rich, pretty color combination. Okay, so I'm just kind of tapping back and forth, back and forth. And let's see if we can get this somewhat straight. I'm still going uphill. I don't know what my problem is. Oh well, it's good enough. No, you know what? I got a second piece. I'm going to try it again, Sam. Part of it is I don't have my label on very well. Okay, so I know I've stamped. I'm gonna tip that corner down a little bit. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, gone. Throw that one away. Okay, so this one, and I am going to trim up my ends just a little bit. So, hello, trimmer. That one, just kind of even it up. You might want to have your ends a little bit longer. I have a friend that she loves the ends to be longer. That is her style. She goes, I want it to have breathing space. And I go, okay, I get it. So there's that. And let's add this one to it. Plus your paper has two sides. Lynn, that is so true. So totally true, right? Okay. So I'm going to, and this I have just a little bit narrower. You could line the whole thing, but I kind of like to eke it in just a little bit. Okay. Of course, I took my thumb off of that. I think I'll do it right about there. That one right there. I'm just kind of cutting right in there so that I have one of these little tooth things on the end rather than having a gap. It's just my preference. You don't have to. Okay, so a little bit of glue here. Come on, glue. There's that. And we'll just kind of wiggle this into place. And you can show as much of that or, however much you want. And what I'm going to do is this side is going to glue and this side is going to dimensional. For the same reason we had to add dimensionals to half of our ribbon. Speaking of dimensionals, can't quite see them. Here they are. Okay, so let me make sure I have the right side. Okay, the right side is actually the left. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and then for this side, I'm going to just squirt a little bit of glue. You guys, we forgot something. Okay. Shoot, queen. Okay, well, we're going to just wiggle them in. There's something very important missing. Hello. I just kind of got in, and hello. You have to kind of remove these. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave this off for just a second. I can always add a little bit more glue because... Hello, we're missing the agave, the pretty stuff. Okay, so in your paper pack, you have a 6x6 piece of basic vellum. It's called Vellum Basics, actually. You might have the polka dot, you might have the stripe, you might have the leaf. It doesn't matter. You just want vellum that has a little pattern on it. And each one, I mean, the little polka dots show here and there, the leaf shows here and there. It's just kind of fun to have a little bit of texture to your vellum. So you're only going to need about a 2 by 6 inch strip here. So that's what I have. And I'm going to cut 2 of the agave. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier, and that is to chop this in half so that I can go 1, 2 of those. And we need 1 more piece of pattern paper. So if you remember from our pocket card, we're going to flip that over, and there it is. So that's our 3rd piece of agave that we're going to die cut here. Can't believe I completely forgot them. Just kind of like ribbon. There's always something, right? So my mom, they would have these Sunday dinners. And I mean, I even remember it happening. They'd have these Sunday dinners, and they would always forget, like, the Jell-O salad or something. Oh, it's still in the fridge. There was always something they forgot. Oh, we forgot the... So, usually I forget to sandwich the ribbon, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, so you guys, I cut all 3 at the same time because it's vellum. I mean, it's pretty thin. Let's see if I was successful. So, lots of extra little pieces here. Definitely success. We just have to pull them apart. Okay, let me get rid of my trash. Okay. Come on. This is really stuck. Oh, Julie, how's Idaho? How's the kids? So Julie and I passed each other. She came to Idaho and I left and came to California. You know, kind of fun. Okay, so now I have 2 vellum somewhere. Maybe they're stuck together. Anybody see where I put my other vellum? So we have 1 pattern paper and we should have 2 vellum. But I have lost my vellum. Is it stuck to the... Sometimes, you know, it's stuck to the plate. Or is it just... I know it's not there. I can't tell. I think... Did it fall on the floor? Oh, crud, you guys. And I do not have another piece of vellum handy. Does anybody see it? Oh, you guys. You gots to be kidding me. It was just here. And I know this is 1 layer. Howdy from rainy day. Oh, so I left the rain. I didn't get, I mean, it was nice until I left. I mean, sorry that you have a rainy day. Okay, well, you should have 2 vellum. And so you have a vellum that's going to kind of reach up in here. And you have the pattern is going to tuck up inside here. And then you have that third agave, that second vellum, goes right in here. So I will show you. So you have 1 and 2 and 3. So actually, let's put this one in first. And I'm going to lift my flower just a little bit. And I'm going to use that dimensional to hold it in place. And we'll just tuck that way in there. And then same thing with this one. Just going to lift this one up. You know, sometimes you can get a dimensional up pretty easy, and sometimes it just does not want to give. So just angle that and maybe kind of change the angle up on them a little bit. So those are in there. Third agave pointing down. I'll find it. As soon as I turn the camera off, oh, there it is. Let me see. Well, there's a dimensional on the back. That's not it. You know, is it just kind of floating around? And I don't think it's on this piece of paper. Nope. Okay, well, we're going to just bypass and go without it for now. Now I can take my greeting, and my greeting comes in here. Tuck that under just a little bit. Just center that. I'm going to come down just a little bit more. Come on, let go. Let go, let go. I'm going to tuck that in there. Oops. It's not where it's supposed to go. I'm going to move down just a little bit. Move it over. I'm centering it, and I was way to the far edge there. So there is that. Looking pretty, pretty, pretty. Now, last thing, two things. You know what they are. They're going to be a little sequin action and Stella. So sequin-wise, these are kind of hiding. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you could do more if you want, but I'm going to do 4 for now. And I'm going to use these big guys. So use a big guy and just kind of, and I like to hide them so that they're not so in your face, because these are kind of big. Hello, cooperate. So I'm going to do one like right in there. And I'll do another big. So these are the full circle ones. Okay. And we'll tuck this one right in there. And another big. So far I've done 3 bigs. And so we'll tuck this one down in here. Kind of get it right there. And it's going to have a buddy. It's going to have a small circle. Whoops, sticking to things. And it's just going to kind of be right in there. There you have it. We'll add a little bit of Wink of Stella. I really wish I knew where my other agave was, because I just cut it. You saw me cut it all at the same time. So, and then this just gets that wink. I think, get this moving. It's just 2 on the table here. I think I used the other one just a second ago. But that, I've got some nice splatters there. Kind of got a big one right there, so I'm just kind of blot that with my finger. All right, there it is, another beauty. I'll bring this one in since it has both of its vellum pieces in there. But yeah, super pretty, you guys. Fun elements to work with. It's all about pretty, pretty stuff. There's that. Now we have one more card, and this one is pretty too. I'm going to take this image off the block for now so that I can put my rose back on it, my little mini rose. Okay, just kind of clean my fingers here and there. Grab this one. There's that. We'll clean it up since we have it here, because now we're going to switch up our color palette again. Our color palette for this next one, we're going to close up Cajun Craze. This time we're going to do kind of a combo of the first and the second. So we have Petal Pink, Bermuda Bay, and Evening Evergreen. So those are going to be the ink colors that I'm going to work with for fun and prettiness. Okay, and our pieces for our card will be all of the ones that are left over. So this is a 3.5 by 7 inch card. So you're cutting a 7-inch square of Evening Evergreen. This is also a color I am going to miss. We know that this is retiring for sure because it's an in color. I've used this a ton. I love Evening Evergreen. And Evening Evergreen for me took the place of Pretty Peacock. And if you remember Pretty Peacock, it was a dark green, had a little more teal in it than Evening Evergreen. This has a little bit more of a hunter finish to it. And so it was like, oh, kind of, I had a placement, a replacement for Pretty Peacock. So I'm sad to lose this, but guess what? We know that Pretty Peacock is going to be part of the in color refresh. So it will be part of the core colors. So it's making a return, which is kind of fun. And we know that because they've shown it in the Irresistible Blooms. I don't know the name of that DSP that matches that, but we've seen a sneak peek of that. So hello, Pretty Peacock. If you have any left, pull it out because it's coming back. I don't have any of it. I used it all back in the day. Okay, so we have quite a few pieces here. We have a piece of 7 by 7 folded at 3.5. Then this piece is also Evening Evergreen, and I believe it is 6 by 2.25. So 6 by 2.5, that layer comes in here. We already cut one layer because We did it on our first card, so we didn't run out of stuff. We have a few other layers to cut. We cut 2 of these. We're going to need a third, so let's do it now. So you have this piece left still. So cut yourself 1 more of these beauties. Just kind of eke it in there the best. I'm going to put mine right in there like that so I have a nice chunk still here. Such pretty paper. And you know what's fun about this particular specialty paper is it's not super heavy. It's not too lightweight, but it's not like too thick and bulky. It's a good mid-weight. Okay. Peel it off the machine. So here's your third one. So you need that. You're going to need a 3 1/4. So if you have a 3 1/4 inch square piece of paper, cut the 3-inch circle from Stylish Shapes. And I have a layer for the inside. This layer measures 6 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, so it's going to be our inside layer there. And I have a nice long strip for my greeting. Right now this is 1 inch by, I think, like 5.5. So it's just kind of, portion of a paper. We'll be trimming that down. And then I have a 1/4 sheet to stamp things on. We have 1 more piece that we need to cut. So this is in your pack of DSP. This is from the Desert Details DSP. It's part of the Sweet collection. So we need to cut a strip of this, and then we will have our elements. So our measurement on this, it's going to be this strip that's right in here. So this strip is going to be 6 by 1, I think. So 6 inches wide by 1 inch tall. Yep. Nailed it. I love to make myself laugh. Okay, 6 by 1. So this piece here that's in your packet is already 6 inches. So now just cut yourself a 1 inch strip. Okay, there we have it. Save that. You never know when you're going to use it again. Make another card from it. It's fun because I give you a few extra scraps to play with. Sometimes we use a lot of it. Sometimes we just kind of, touch something, just use a tiny little bit. Okay, there are our pieces. Let's see here. Let's do some stamping. So I'm going to bring my scratch paper back into play here. And I am going to be stamping some roses and things on this paper here. So this time we're going to start in Petal Pink. And this is my favorite color combo because when you do this, it truly has not a desert rose, but almost a succulent feel to it. This is a great way of recreating some succulent colors. So Petal Pink, that will be where we're going to fully ink up with that. We're going to tap with Bermuda Bay, and we're going to tap color in with Evening Evergreen. So we have all 3 colors working here, folks. Okay, so let me kind of bring that into view a little bit. So I need a blending brush for Bermuda Bay. And I have a blending brush for Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to ink up with Petal Pink. Okay, get it good and inked up, good and juicy. Put it on its back, and we're going to tap in some Bermuda. Be sure to not cover everything. You do want a little bit of that Petal Pink, peeking through, because that's what it's going to give it that succulent look and feel. And kind of around the edges, that's where I'm hitting the Evening Evergreen. Just pounce, pounce. You never know what you're going to get. Huff on that to reinvigorate all those colors. Oh, so pretty. So here's what I'm talking about. See how that Petal Pink kind of just peeks through? That's when it starts to look more like a realistic succulent. So you're going to do 1 rose there, and then we're going to do 2 small. So Petal Pink, Petal Pink, Petal Pink, a little bit of Bermuda Bay here and there, and then a little Evening Evergreen. Give a huff, stamp it, pretty. clean it because you do not want to put that Bermuda Bay and Evening Evergreen into your Petal Pink pad. Pounce that color. Huff. Stamp. Cool. So let me show you. Look at that one. I really like that one. See how it's just kind of tucked in there? It's a happening. That's what my mom calls it's a happening. It just happened to turn out really cool. So we're going to die cut those. So again, you know, just like we've been doing. I have mine done ahead of time, just again for time's sake. Because we're already doing quite a bit of die cutting on screen here, or, you know, in the live. So those are my roses. Those are ready to go. But while I have my ink pads out, let's stamp the inside panel here. And so the inside panel, let me show you. You might have seen it in the pictures, but it has just a little bit of decor on the inside. So we are going to first stamp with one of the, this is a border stamp that's in part of this, you know, part of the images. And I'm going to ink this one in Evening Evergreen. Excuse me. Evening Evergreen. And on one end, I'm just going to stamp that straight across. And I'm going to hope that I'm pretty parallel to my edge. Not too bad. Looking good. And now I'm going to do, this has been inked up. We haven't cleaned it. I'm going to huff on it to get as much out of that as I can. So I have just a little bit of, you know, kind of that second generation. And we'll do it one more time up top. But I do need to clean it, because I'm not going to hit my Petal Pink with all that dark green. So we'll go Petal Pink. And same drill we've been doing. Whoops, we're doing Evening Evergreen first this time. That's okay. And then Bermuda Bay. And I'm going to stamp off on my scratch because, oh, look how pretty that one is.
Good.
And I've rotated this, and I'm going to do a little bit of stamping right there. Okay, so just simple and pretty, pretty. But it gives a little bit of, you know, that we're bringing the front to the inside. And I'm going to close those two. That was Bermuda Bay and Petal Pink. While we have Evening Evergreen out, you have that strip of white here. You have a nice long piece. We are going to, I'm going to replace this image. So I'm going to take this one off the block. Okay. I could take this one off, or I could take the other one, but I need a longer block. And I'm going to replace it. This is another great saying right here. Sending warm rays your way. So I'm going to add that to my block and hope that I'm fairly straight. And I'm going to test it just to see how it stamps. Pretty straight. We're going to hope for the best here. And I'm going to situate this down on the bottom, and I'll trim away. I keep stamping high. Okay, 2 over. That's why we got a bigger piece. Okay, I'm going to rotate just a little bit. Okay. Oh, much better. Much better. Okay, my mom's laughing. She's like, you're so dumb.
You're not dumb.
Okay, so now we will just kind of give this a trim so it's not quite so big. And you guys, I'm eyeballing it. It's not a specific, you know, just frame the greeting the way you like it best. Oh, maybe just a skosh more. There's that. Get rid of that piece of garbage. Whoops, it fell on the floor. Okay, I'm going to close my ink pad. Now, you could put a greeting inside if you want. I've left mine blank because I don't exactly know what it's going to be for, but we'll see someday. Okay, I think we have just a little bit more die cutting to do, and that's going to be on this piece of Evening Evergreen, and we're going to use this guy again, okay? But I need to do just a little bit of pokey outy. So let me just kind of clean this up. I guess she doesn't have a brush, a take your pick tool, the brush end. Maybe she does.
Yeah, I do.
She does. She says, okay, but look, I got my trash, but I have to bring out my ladybug. Okay, so bring out my ladybug. This is what's fun. Love it. I've even taken this to my plates. Get that off. Everybody needs a vacuum for their table, right? Fun times. Okay, so I'm going to die cut this in a couple places. Okay, so let me point them out to you, and you can really kind of do them wherever you like. This one's barely showing, so I think I'm going to move it just a little closer to the edge. So I'm going to do one in the upper corner and in the lower corner, and then I think I did this corner as well. So, but when I did them, what I did is I think I'm going to do one high, and then when I do this one, I'm going to move it down just a little bit so that they're not in line. You know, make it a little bit more interesting. Wow, look at that. She does. She has the old one. She has the good one. Awesome. I don't even think I have that one. She brings it in. And then I'll do one right here. And so you'll see I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. But so I don't want this one right at the end like this one. I'm going to do each one just a little bit different. I just don't want them to be so matchy-matchy. But however you want to do it is good. Okay, so I have to do it 3 times. So bear with me. But I think I'll show you in between each one so you can kind of see how I'm going to position. Okay, there's the first one. We'll bring it in and show you guys. Okay, we'll just do a little bit of cleaning action here. Like that. So there's my first one. See how I've done it kind of up a little bit higher? So this one, I'm going to do it on this side, but I'm going to bring it down just a little bit so that they're not totally in line, okay? Okay. Little pieces everywhere. Need to bring Ladybug and clean up. Here's this one. So you can see how it's down just a little bit lower. Nice. Okay. One more time. Let me poke those out. And now this one, I don't want it to be right in line with this. I just want to make it a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to just slide it in a little bit. Okay, so there, it's working as a triangle here, but just a little bit more artistic. Here's the last one, and I think that's our last die cut for today. So we'll pull that out. Good, and I'm just gonna kind of push these away. I'll vacuum later. Okay, so there's this piece. That is ready. And it is going to layer onto our card base here. Before I layer it onto my card base, I am going to distress it just a little bit. Just kind of like we did earlier. Just get those edges going, and then I'm going to flip it over and do it again. And it's going to, because we're doing the green on green, and now when I flip this over to the other side, it's just going to help it kind of stand off the page just a little bit because it's being glued down, but we want to be able to see the edge, okay? If it's just glued straight on, it just kind of loses a little bit. It's just giving it a touch of character. So it's not much. Yes, Mother has a question.
Are you able to watch Ruby, or do you want us to take her?
She can stay here with me.
Right now she's on the bed.
Oh, yeah? Ruby is still in bed. She's a funny girl.
She's been in and out.
Funny, funny little dog. Okay, here's this. Okay. Whoops. Oh, man. So much glue all over the place. That's what an adhesive remover is for, right? Okay. I was trying to wipe it off there, and then I made it worse here. Now, I have to teach you, because I'm sure you already know, don't rub this now. Let it dry. When it's dry, then take your adhesive remover to it. If you take your adhesive remover to it too soon, it's just going to peel your paper. But you can see how just kind of curling this up just a little bit gives this just a little bit of edge that kind of, you know, we want it to show a little bit. Plus it's desert details, so you can really kind of rough it up and whatnot. Next layer is going to be this one here, this pattern. So this was our mystery card layout during Studio Ink Spots. We cased this layout from the January-April catalog. So this layer goes in here. It's kind of a fun little layout, totally different. I would have never come up with this, but thank you, Stampin' Up. They gave us a cool little sample. So there's that layer. Now my next layer is the circle. But before I add the circle, I am going to bring my scratch paper in and bring in our soft succulent. And this is just gonna get a good splatter of texture. Let those dry. Okay, so this one glues on. We will get to some dimensionals here in just a minute, but we don't want too many layers of dimensionals. So, okay, I'm gonna have to tackle that because it's gonna partially show, but I'm not gonna be able to get to it once I get that circle on. Okay, that should be good. Okay, now we can cover that up. And that is just centered, side, side, and up, down. And one more glued layer. You know what? I think I was supposed to put this whole thing on dimensionals, but that's okay. I will fix that right up. This one's gonna come in here. And this one stretches across right in there like so. Okay? Pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Fun stuff. Fun, fun stuff. Okay, next layer, we're going to use our 3 agave plants here. And I'm going to have 1, whoops, and 2, and 3, okay? So this one's kind of, you know, they're going to kind of situate something like that. And to hold these down, what I think I'm going to do is just kind of put a little bit of snail. Like I'll do a little snail right there, a little bit right there, a little bit right there, and just kind of wiggle it in there. So this one kind of points across. Whoops. I think it should be just a little bit lower. There it is. It's right about like that. So it kind of comes into this lighter green, into the succulent. And this one's going to come in center more and come down. And then this one kind of is going to balance this side over here. There is that. Okay, next layer. We're going to sandwich the ribbon at the right time. This is the gold from the Simply Elegant trim. And I'm just kind of running my finger across this, trying to take the curl out of it, the memory out of it, so to say. And this is going to tie in a pretty big bow. It's going to be pretty big. Okay, well, maybe not that big, but pretty big. Okay, hunker down on it. Come here, Ruby. You're not alone. She's like, my mom left. She's so attached to my mom and my dad. Yeah, we're gonna play together. And so this is going to stretch across like so. Okay, so you can hold it with a little bit of snail. The other thing you can do, because we know we're gonna be covering this up, grab yourself a dimensional and just kind of use that. I'm not right on the knot because then it makes it really bulky, but that's just going to hold it in place for now. And then as you come through and add things, you can kind of shape that and hold it down just the way you want it. Okay? Okay, Now we're going to add our rose. So I'll add this big guy first. And I'm not going to put, just kind of eke your dimensionals off to the side so that you don't collide with that one, if you know what I mean. There we go. We should be good there. And I forgot to do it, but I am going to kind of give a little bit of character to things. We don't want it super flat. Flat? No. Okay, so this one's, and again, those dimensionals will help, you know, secure some of this gold cord in place. And I might shorten this one just a little bit. There we go. It's kind of nice when you have these longer tails because you can, you know, shorten and change things up easily. So before I add the dimensionals this time, why don't I give these a little bit of a curl? Curl and character. There's that one. This one. Much better. And we'll put a dimensional on each of these and add these in. And I like this lighter one. I'm going to put this lighter one up top. And just tuck that right in here like so. Oh, that's a little high. I'm going to move it down and inside just a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. And then this one, same drill, but over here. Poor doggy. Okay, there's that. Sending warm rays your way. Now this one, we're totally going to distress. It's just part of the desert feel and look, right? So I'm getting it on that side and it's getting nice and curly. What's fun is it starts to get these little lines kind of cracking up it. And I'm going to turn it over. Yes, remember I had to stamp it a second time. So just really distress this piece and get it, you know, kind of like wind blown and, you know, kind of just really give it some texture and character. And that's going to go right there like that. And you'll just kind of have to look to see where your dimensionals will be best. And I think for me, they're going to be best towards the center. That's a partial. I don't want that. Right there. Okay. And so I'm just kind of looking at center here, and I'm going to go center, center. Oops, I need to walk it this way just a little bit. There we go. That's better. Now let's trim this gold cord, these ends, so they're not quite so crazy. Much better. Get all this out of the way. And let's add the faceted sequins here. And this time you have two more of these big guys left. So let's take these two big ones and, you know, add them where you like. But again, I'm going to kind of do that. I'm going to tuck them in and kind of hide them sort of thing. Or if you maybe want the pointy end to show, maybe we'll change it up. Oh, poor doggy. So you've got one there. And I'll do another one right up in here. And then the rest, I'm going to use these moons. So you have, I think you have, do you have 4 moons? I can't remember. I think you have 4 moons. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and have some fun. There's 1, and I'm going to do another one. 2. Hi, Ruby. Yes. Yes, I see you. And we'll do one right there. And that's where I'm going to put my sequins, so you can kind of see where those are, hiding and peeking through. You choose where you like them to be. And then I'm going to kind of curl that back a little bit. Then we will get this all winked. And I love the Wink of Stella. Let me get it going just a little bit better. Get it juicified. I like how this looks on the evening evergreen. I do not know what this dog wants. She is scratching my leg like crazy. What you want? You want to go outside? Okay, luckily the door is right behind me. So get this all splattered, and then we'll add our layer inside. There you go. Go outside. Go outside. She's like, no, I want you to go with me. She needs to be accompanied. So this layer here, we'll just add a little bit of liquid glue to the inside layer. And that, folks, is our last step in our beautiful, gorgeous cards here. Super pretty, okay? And you know what? You could actually even do just a little bit of carry that splatter to the inside. And notice that I just did a little bit right here. I didn't go hog crazy, you know, just a little bit. So this one almost could use another dimensional right in there. But there you have it. We have our Sending Warm Rays Your Way. Okay, there's that one. And then we have our really pretty Petal Pink and Cajun Craze. And then our neat, fun, just lots of layers and prettiness on this one here. And that finishes up our Desert Details class for today. I'm just kind of wiggling a few things out of view here just to kind of show you. But hopefully you make yours, or if you make something slightly different, give us a show. It will be fun to see what you do and what you create with this beautiful set. You know, I don't know if this will carry over into the annual catalog. It might. It might not. So if you don't have it and you want it, pick it up now. I do know that the dies are back in stock. So, folks, it's been awesome to stamp with you today. And thank you for your comments. And I will catch you all in 2 weeks, because we have a 5th week here in March. But I will be in San Jose still. So I'll be on the road going home. So thank you, Terry. Thank you, Jen. I will catch you in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.